The gentleman yields, and thank him for his opening statement. I now recognize the gentleman from Rhode Island, Mr. Magaziner, for his opening statement.
Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member Thompson, I want to thank you for convening today's hearing. The topic, the Iranian regime's threats to Homeland Security, is both timely and important. The Iranian regime is a danger to global stability and our own Homeland Security. It is the world's most prolific supporter of terrorism and determined to harm the United States and our allies. Today, we have an opportunity to explore exactly how Iran and its proxies seek to carry out their destructive ambitions and to move toward meaningful bipartisan actions to counter and contain them. This hearing comes at an important moment. Earlier this month, on October 7th, an Iranian-backed terrorist group, Hamas, launched a gruesome attack against civilians in Israel. These brutal terrorists murdered innocent civilians. They slaughtered hundreds of young people at a music festival. They kidnapped Holocaust survivors and children and U.S. citizens. Make no mistake, as President Biden said, the United States of America stands firmly and unequivocally with Israel and against the evil that is Hamas. This terrorist organization is a threat not just to Israel, but also to the United States and our allies across the world. Iran and its proxies present a clear and present danger to our homeland security, and we must identify ways that the United States can ensure the safety of our citizens abroad and here at home. Iran has attempted to conduct multiple assassinations on U.S. soil, including of U.S. persons. Multiple plots orchestrated by Iran have been dismantled in recent years, including an attempted bombing of a restaurant right here in Washington, D.C. Perhaps the most commonly used tactic by the Iranian regime is cyber warfare, as they seek to target U.S. businesses and infrastructure and government agencies with disruptive attacks. They and their proxies, like Hamas, are adept at using the internet to incite people to violence in Israel, in the United States, and elsewhere. And we know that individuals online supporting violence against both the Jewish community and the Muslim community here in the United States are being manipulated by Iran and its proxies to conduct acts of violence here in the United States. This is reprehensible, and we must redouble our efforts to combat terrorist organizations' ability to radicalize individuals here at home in the United States through the internet. I'll just say on a personal note, as a person of Jewish heritage, as someone who has experienced anti-Semitism and who just a few weeks ago, we had a bomb threat at the largest synagogue in my city that I live in Rhode Island. Thankfully, the individual who called in that bomb threat was arrested. I get chills when I hear the rhetoric being used by those who are seeking to commit acts of violence against Jewish people in the United States and around the world. The same chills that I felt on that day when white supremacists marched in Charlottesville, Virginia, chanting, "Jews will not replace us." And President Trump got up at the end of that day and said that there were fine people on both sides. So if we are going to call out anti-Semitism, if we're going to call out domestic violent extremism and the incitement of violence, yes, let's be prepared to do it everywhere. Let's not make this a partisan exercise, but an American one. We must also work to prevent the targeting of Iranian dissidents here in the United States. Ms. Alinejad, thank you for being here today. I know that each time you speak out, and particularly in Congress, you put yourself at great risk. But your story is one that the American people need to hear. I am deeply troubled that the Iranian regime has the audacity to continue to try to reach inside the United States to harm you and other people, including a former Secretary of State who live freely in this country. But your presence here today demonstrates that their efforts will only redouble ours in resisting any acts of political assassination or violence on U.S. soil. We owe it to you and all the victims of the Iranian regime, including in Israel and Gaza, to set aside politics and work together in a bipartisan manner to contain and counter the Iranian regime and its proxies. Congress must also work to ensure the Iranian regime's reach never reaches our homeland to bring harm to our own people. The U.S. and Israel's intelligence and counterintelligence efforts failed to detect and prevent the attack that ensued on October 7th. And as a country, we need assurances that there will not be another intelligence failure that has the capacity to harm Americans either abroad or in our own homeland. That means empowering the Department of Homeland Security's intelligence enterprise, as Mr. Warwick notes in his written testimony, and ensuring that DHS has the full capacity necessary with appropriate privacy and civil rights and civil liberties checks to gather intelligence on Iranian activities and other security threats here in the United States homeland. It means ensuring that fusion centers are equipped to share intelligence with state, local, tribal, and territorial law enforcement who are on the ground protecting American communities. And it means making sure that no one in this country is harmed simply because they dare to speak out against the Iranian regime. I know my Democratic colleagues and I are prepared to work with anyone who is serious about making our country safer, freer, and more open. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses, and I yield back.
The gentleman yields, and I thank him for his statement, and I thank him for his heart that was obvious.